In the fall of 1989, a seemingly ordinary day in Bay Village, Ohio, turned into a chilling nightmare. 10-year-old Amy Mihaljevic vanished without a trace, leaving behind a community gripped by fear and uncertainty. What happened to this bright young girl? The answer was darker than anyone could imagine. Amy Mihaljevic was a vibrant 10-year-old girl, known for her bright smile and infectious laughter. She lived in a quiet suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, with her mother, Margaret, and her younger brother, a typical family leading a typical life. Amy was a fifth grader at Bay Middle School, where she excelled academically and was adored by her friends and teachers. She often spent her afternoons playing outside or enjoying the company of her close-knit family. On October 27, 1989, Amy's life took a tragic turn. That day, she had planned to visit the nearby Bay Village shopping plaza to meet her mother, who she had been told had received a promotion at work. However, that innocent trip would lead to her disappearance. Little did anyone know, as she walked to the shopping center, everything was about to change. To those who knew her, Amy was not just a child. She was a beacon of joy. But that day, as she left the comfort of her home, she unknowingly stepped into a sinister trap that would forever alter her family's life. Amy was last seen at the shopping plaza around 5 p.m., where she had arranged to meet her mother. However, Margaret Mihaljevic never arrived. Concern began to build when hours passed without any sign of Amy. As night fell, her family reported her missing to the Bay Village Police. The initial search involved local law enforcement and community volunteers scouring the area for any sign of the young girl. Police quickly learned from witnesses that Amy had been seen interacting with a man in a dark car. Witnesses reported that this man had approached Amy, claiming that her mother was waiting for her at another location. This initial lead sent shockwaves through the community, as the realization sank in that a child could be lured away so easily. As the investigation unfolded, search parties combed through parks, woods, and neighborhoods, but no sign of Amy was found. Days turned into weeks, and the desperation of her family and the community only grew. Flyers with Amy's photo plastered on them filled the streets, and the local news stations broadcast her story, hoping for any information that could lead to her safe return. As the investigation continued, police delved deeper into the circumstances surrounding Amy's disappearance. They learned that the man who lured her away had not been identified, leaving investigators with few leads. They compiled a composite sketch based on witness descriptions, describing a white male in his 30s with a stocky build, possibly driving a light-colored car. The community was on edge, fearing that a predator was among them. With each passing day, hope dwindled, but investigators remained determined. They interviewed dozens of potential witnesses and searched through hundreds of tips that poured in from the public. Each lead was investigated thoroughly, but many led to dead ends. The police also began to explore the possible motives behind Amy's abduction. Was it a random act of violence, or was it something more calculated? They considered the possibility of a child predator, a theory that sent chills down the spines of local parents. Despite the exhaustive searches and community efforts, Amy remained missing, and as the investigation hit a standstill, the question loomed larger: who was responsible for her disappearance? Tragically, on February 8, 1990, nearly 4 months after Amy went missing, her body was discovered in a field in rural northern Ohio, about 75 miles away from Bay Village. The discovery was a devastating blow to her family and the community, who had held out hope for her safe return. The news sent shockwaves through the nation, with many struggling to comprehend how such a horrific act could occur. Autopsy results revealed that Amy had died from blunt force trauma, but the details surrounding her death remained unclear. Investigators were now faced with the grim reality of solving a murder case. They reviewed evidence collected from the crime scene, but the lack of substantial leads made it difficult to identify a suspect. Despite age progression sketches and extensive coverage in the media, no one came forward with credible information about who might have committed this heinous act. As each lead went cold, investigators found themselves grappling with the haunting truth. Amy's killer was still out there, living among a community that had been deeply affected by her tragic fate. In the wake of Amy's murder, her family was left shattered. The community of Bay Village, once a safe haven, was now a place filled with fear and uncertainty. Memorials sprung up in her honor, and Amy's case became a rallying cry for parents to educate their children about safety and stranger danger. The investigation continued, but with each passing year, the case grew colder. Law enforcement agencies kept Amy's case alive, regularly releasing new information to the public and urging anyone with knowledge to come forward. In 1991, a man named David Lee Smith was arrested for the attempted abduction of another young girl, and he bore a striking resemblance to the composite sketch of Amy's abductor. However, he was never charged in connection with Amy's case, and the investigation continued to search for answers. Over the years, various suspects have emerged, but none have been definitively linked to the crime. Amy's family has fought tirelessly for justice, advocating for new leads and supporting legislation aimed at improving child safety. Yet as of today, the case remains unsolved, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions that continue to haunt those who knew and loved her. The disappearance and murder of Amy Mihaljevic is a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities children face, even in seemingly safe environments. Despite the passage of time, her case continues to resonate, reminding us that justice can often be elusive. As investigators push for new leads, Amy's family holds on to hope that one day they will find the answers they have sought for decades. The community still remembers her smile, her laughter, and the tragedy that took her away from them. Who was the man in the dark car? Why did he choose Amy? And will her family ever find peace? As we reflect on Amy's story, we are left with more questions than answers, a haunting reality that echoes through the years.